sure you put your Loctite on it. Screw this all the way down. Get to where you want. Go ahead and tighten this down. Put my bushings over the top of it. Okay, so that's finished. Alright, now we're on the back rack. You have your 3 bolts that you're going to put in. They're the ones with the Allen wrench on the top. 2 long ones go in the front tube. Short one goes in the back one. Just going to go ahead and put some Loctite on these. And again, you don't have to kill it with Loctite, but just make sure you get some on there. I'm going to line it up with my 3 holes here in the back. And you're going to use your Allen wrench. I'm cheating because we have a little tool we use in the shop here for these. And do these kind of evenly. You don't want to bring one all the way down. And once you get them all started, you just want to go through and tighten them all down. Alright, so now your rear rack is on there. Our next step that we're going to do is your little fender for the rear. It's your little fender. Goes on the back. We'll get our Phillips head screwdriver and the 2 remaining small screws that are in the bag. Take those 2. Again, you don't need any Loctite on these. I'm just going to come to the rear of the scooter here. And this is just going to snap in place. Just slide it up here. Put it here. And then on the back side, you're just going to put these 2 little screws in. When I put them in on the back side, they're going to go through the backs here on both sides of these. Like I said, these are pretty easy scooters to put together. The front nose piece is probably not that it's difficult, it's just tedious. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but other than that, they go together pretty easy. And you want to make sure they're lined up. I didn't have that one lined up. Okay, now that that's done, shut the seat, get our tools out. And in your bag of bolts, there's a nut on there. It's the largest nut in there. That's a lock washer. What we're about to do, it's important to make sure that you use this lock washer on the front steering wheel. Alright? What I'll do is I'm going to lift the scooter out. It's easier if you have two people. I'm just going to do it by myself, but I'll just lift this back scooter up, put it off to the side. Your center kickstand down here. Just going to lift it up, put it down on your stand. What that does is it takes the pressure off the front of the scooter. Now I can tilt the scooter back, and we want to remove this front axle bolt. The nut that's in the packaging, that's what's going to go on this. This is not a lock washer, so you don't want to use that. So I can discard that nut. You might need a hammer to tap it off. Use rubber mallets here, but just going to get it started to come out of the spot. Your spacer's on the inside of this bolt that comes through here. Do not lose that spacer. It's very important. So I'll slide this bolt all the way out. Alright, front wheel assembly. You have your axle bolt, you have your front wheel spacer, and you have your lock washer that'll be inside the plastic bag when you get your scooter. First thing you want to do is take this spacer on the disc brake side and just slide it in here. And these front wheels can be a little tricky, but if you just take your time with it, you should be able to get it without too much trouble. Make sure that disc brake is slid into your disc brake pads. Then you can go ahead and start this bolt and just let it set in there. And as you lift this up, make sure you keep your spacer in there. So as I lift up on this, I'm just going to put my finger on there to hold it in place. Once I get it lined up, I can put my bolt in there. Once you get your bolt in there, your wheel will start staying in place for you. If you come over to this side, just put your disc brake, your speedometer cable into the side. And you can pull this back if you want to come to the front, Dave. The thing that you want to make sure you got lined up is this little tab needs to go in that slot. So what I'll do, just make sure it's turned enough to slide into that slot. See how that's all lined up? That's the right way to put it in there. Then I slide my bolt through. Make sure everything's locked up. That's why I'm not going to beat on it too hard until I make sure everything's lined up. Alright, now it's all the way through. Now we can move into putting our washer on. Make sure you Loctite this thing fairly good, because this is one part, this and the steering column, you want to make sure you get a decent amount of Loctite on. I'll go ahead and start this. And this is where you're going to use your 11/16, and I believe it's a 14 millimeter. One second, it's a 15 millimeter. Go ahead and just tighten it down. So a 15 millimeter and 11/16. A lot easier if you have an impact gun. I just didn't have it on there. It is a 14 millimeter, sorry guys. Just go ahead and tighten this down. Alright. Now what we can do is put your front fender cover on. The straight edge goes towards the back. The rounded edge goes in the front. All you got to do is just take this, slide it on, inside your baggie. It's the last 4 screws you got in there. All you want to do is just go to both sides and tighten these 4 nuts down. Again, I didn't Loctite these. There's no reason to really Loctite these. They'll stay in place for you. Just holding a piece of facade on it. Same thing on the other side. So you got your front fender on. Now I can go ahead and remove, I put it all down here to hold it up for me, just a couple boxes of envelopes. But if you have 2 people, it's a lot easier. So we've got the front wheel on, making sure that our disc brake was locked up on there. We've already put our rear stand on it, put the front facade on. Now the last thing we have to do is put the trunk on. Now for your trunk, the hardware for your trunk is inside the trunk. You can go ahead and take this out for right now. It's just a little pad. You can set this back and just line up the 4 holes. Oops, I'm sorry, baby. Line up those 4 holes. You've got your 4 little washers and 4 screws. They're just going to sit right in here. And put your screws in. Okay, we got that in here. Now we'll take this pad that was in there, and that'll go in here. What I do is I just line up this wire, just get an idea where it goes on this side here, and then I just take and just rip it a little bit, and it'll tuck right around there for you so your mat will set in there correctly. Shut it up, lock it up. Alright, now that's the assembly on the TaoTao 50CY. We're going to be having videos for all of our scooters on here. Make sure you check out the dealer prep, how you prep these things, get them ready to ride. There's a couple other things you do to it. We're going to make that a separate video, and we'll just do it on one scooter. But that's how you prep all the scooters, no matter how you, which one you get. But for this video, all this is just the assembly on the TaoTao CY50A.